Hello, my name is William Duval, and today I'm going to be talking about Chapter 12 of the Leadership Experience, titled Leadership Power and Influence. As the name suggests, this chapter is most focused with the way a leader positions power and influence affects an organization and its followers. So, to start the chapter, it opens up with a story about George Zimmer, the founder and CEO of Men's Wearhouse. After its success, Zimmer eventually resigned as CEO about 40 years later. I'm just going to make this story short, and became the company's executive chairman. His successor, Doug Ewert, now became the CEO, and they began to clash at this time. Long story short, Ewert wanted to sell one of the company's assets. Zimmer did not agree with that. He also raised the pay for some executives because of something on the board, and there was a power struggle. So after a few months of power struggle, Zimmer, the original CEO and founder, was fired after a few months of this, and it goes to show that the business world is kind of chop chop, that a power struggle opens to one person getting their way and one person getting fired. And I know that's a tough reality, but any sort of issue or any sort of conflict is going to cause a power struggle if it's not handled properly. And that's ultimately going to lead to either one person getting fired or both people getting fired. Just a power struggle is never good for anyone, quite honestly. So after that little story, the book goes over the four different kinds of influential leadership. And to start, it talks about transformational leadership. And all the definitions I'm going to provide are from the textbook, as always. So transformational leadership is leadership characterized by the ability to bring about significant change in followers and the organizations. And they often have the capability to lead change in organizations' vision, strategy, and culture, and as well as promote innovation. So often a transformational leader is someone that's going to go in there, kind of rile up the troops, not necessarily as much as different leadership styles I'll be talking about later, but it's more so a person that's going to point the directive. It's going to be someone that leads the ship and be someone that's able to kind of make the right intentions for whatever is trying to be set out to be done. After that, you have transactional leadership, which is, as the name suggests, a transaction or exchange process between leaders and followers. This one is very simple, straightforward. In this style, the leader usually identifies the needs of followers or of their followers or anyone that they're working with, pretty much, and they create a reward system. And the way I pretty much rationalize that is good work equals pay. You do something good, you get this in return. You do something bad, you get this punishment in return. So very simple stuff there. Next, we have charismatic leadership, which is leaders who have the ability to inspire and motivate people to do more than they normally would, despite the obstacles and personal sacrifice. Their passion really empowers people to work towards a goal. And this is, I'd say, the most individual level of these four leadership styles, because this one's very much the rah, 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 get the troops going type of leader, that they're going to use their charisma, they're going to use their way of speaking to really empower people and get individual people to want to do stuff. And that's how a team could be closer. This is a style of leadership that you could really build a bond with a charismatic leader. So next we have the final of the four styles that were mentioned, coalitional leadership, which is one I actually never heard of these four. So I want to talk about this one a little bit. This is leadership that involves developing allies and building a coalition of people who support the leader's goals and can help influence others to implement the leader's decisions and achieve the goals. So this one, I feel, keeps the ultimate goal of leadership in mind because it keeps the end goal in mind over everything else. That's literally the last part of the definition. And isn't this kind of just someone who goes out and builds a workforce of the people they need? Kind of someone that goes out and like hires people and does stuff of that nature. So in my opinion, that's a coalitional leader, someone who's able to really build out the team of everyone. Not necessarily going to be the guy that's going to be like, go troops, we could do this. But more so the guy who's going to figure it all out and get the right people in the right place. So after all this, I really started thinking about the idea of coaches, or a football coach, a sports coach. I was an athlete and I was a football player, so I rationalize it as a football coach. But any sort of leader that is trying to lead a group of people towards a certain goal, I personally feel that they need a combination of all four of these things. You got to know how to coach in all four or lead in all four of these styles, quite honestly. Certain styles fit certain situations. a transactional leadership might not work for someone who isn't necessarily intrinsically motivated for what you provide them. If pay isn't an option for someone, what else is going to motivate them? Is it going to be a fear of being punished? And I can get into that later with a different type of leadership that I kind of want to go over before this video ends. Kind of, I'm going a while. But I think that all these styles of leadership are important. There are situations where you will have to use only one, but I feel like most leaders should have a combination of all four of these things. It's not saying one is better than the other. It's just situational use. So the final leadership style I want to talk about before I get into power, kind of wrap that up at the end of this, is Machiavellian leadership style, which is basically saying the ends justify the means, and traits of a Machiavellian leader are that they're always on guard for risks and threats to their power, they don't mind being feared, they will use deception if necessary, and they create a rewards and punishment system to shape behavior. So this is kind of described almost as like an evil leader type of thing. Machiavellian leadership is kind of okay with deception, as it just said. So, yeah, if you have a Machiavellian leader, you might want to distance yourself from them a bit. They can be effective in getting a goal done, but not necessarily super effective on the working for someone that's a Machiavellian leader side. It's not really a very human not a non-human person, but more so someone that doesn't see other people as like equal humans to them type of thing. So before I wrap up, I want to talk about power because the rest of this chapter is concerned with power and the use of it. So to start, I'm going to define power and influence. Power is the potential ability of one person to influence other people and bring about desired outcomes, and influence is the effect a person's actions have on the attitudes, values, and beliefs of others. So power is basically how their influence works to get the outcome, and the influence is the effects of their power. They both work very hand in hand. There's also multiple types of power that the book goes over. I'm just going to go through them really quick with their definition and be done here. And it's legitimate power, which is authority granted from a formal position. So that's basically being appointed into a position of power through whether it's a board of people or from a king or whoever wants to appoint someone to a position. That's just being appointed. There's reward power, which is the power that is built through the rewards you can offer. So anything with a reward system, let's say you're at a smoothie place and they have something where you get a point for every time you go there, and after 10 visits you get a free smoothie. They have reward power. You're going to keep ending up back at that smoothie place because they have the reward power over you. Next thing, we have coercive power, which is the authority to punish or recommend punishment, which is basically a student being afraid of a teacher for being reprimanded for something. Very self-explanatory. Then we have expert power, which is authority resulting from a leader's special knowledge or skill. And this is a little bit more of a, not appointed position, it's more of a earned position, I'd say, where someone is oozing what they know, or it's very well known what this person knows, and they are given respect and power by that. And then finally, we have referent power, which is authority based on personal characteristics that command followers' attention, respect, and admiration so that they want to emulate the leader. And the way I like to think of this one is kind of like in high school, there's always a group of people that is more popular than the rest of the people. Find the head of that group of people, and everyone around them is kind of trying to be like them or fall in place. There's always a leader of some sort of group, and everyone around them kind of wants to be like them for one reason or another, whether it's what they provide, whether it's the way they behave, or whatever it may be. And that's what a referent leader is. I'm sorry. I had the tab closed. But either way, I'm done here. I've been going on for 9 minutes, but thank you very much. This has been Chapter 12.